Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Slam Talk Sports. I'm Slam, and remarkably, I've been renewed for another season, despite the fact my performances get worse and worse every single week. It's nice to have such security in life, isn't it? What are we talking about today? Well, we're talking about AFL Round 2 action. It is the rapid recap. We'll try and get it done in all of 20 minutes, even though I'm a very slow person and a slow walker. But what are we talking about? Surely we start with Friday Night Football. Wrong again. We will start with Saturday afternoon at the MCG. Unfortunately, my Essendon Football Club were destroyed by the Crom. Adelaide won by 10 goals in what was an embarrassing display for Essendon, particularly in the defensive aspects of the game. How do I explain it? I was there firsthand and I saw 22 different witches' hats of shapes and sizes get walked around by Adelaide. It was the likes of Rankin. It was the likes of Ben Keys, who is now feasted on Essendon back-to-back, and their key forwards, Riley Philthorpe and Darcy Fogarty, did whatever they wanted in the air and even on the ground against Essendon. What is the biggest issue right now with the Bombers? Is it a skill level disparity? Yes, that's a big issue. Is it coaching? For sure. Brad Scott has never instilled a top 10 defense at Essendon. In fact, they're in the bottom 6 all 3 seasons he's been the head coach. It's an issue which has ranged back to Matthew Knights, John Worsfold, Ben Rudden. Essendon haven't been a good defense for 20 plus years. But in my opinion, the biggest issue is want. It's desire. There is no want or desire to defend, to want to beat your opponent, to run back in transition. Outside Zach Merritt, who gives his all every single week, what do Essendon have? What is their skill? What is the thing that makes you worry about them? What is their point of difference that thinks, okay, this is how they'll win the game this week? It's not the forward half. It's very inexperienced. It's a forward line that doesn't lead to the ball most of the time. It's a forward line that kicked the ball on Tiffin Woody's head. It's the same forward line that has the ball kicked on Isaac Kako's head when he's not even 6 foot tall. That's one issue. But for me, it is the issue of not wanting to run back in transition. It's the way St Kilda lost to Adelaide last weekend. It is being burnt on turnovers, and when the ball comes back over your head, the holes that appear all over the ground. And if Essendon don't fix that, it will be another long season for the Bombers. I'll be there every single week, enduring all the pain I can handle. But at this point, I'm so dead inside that even these comments might not reach Essendon. They don't think they care enough. I know the supporters are irate at what's happened over the last 20 years at the football club, but I don't see any want or need from the players to change. And until that happens, it'll continue to be a dark, dark time for Essendon supporters. On the flip side, Adelaide, they were brilliant. They were brilliant against the Saints, and the way they cut Essendon apart in transition, and particularly their efficiency in the forward half, is what made them an early contender for the flag for 2025. Now, it's probably too early to talk about flags with the Crows. I mean, they haven't played finals since their disastrous grand final loss in 2017, but it appears they have the right mix now in the midfield. Laird is out, Berry is out, Rankin is in, Peatling is in. They've got other different movers with a bit more speed, a bit more agile, a bit more nimble that can win the ball and get it forward of centre to that magnificent forward line. Will be a close watch on Adelaide for the rest of the season because I'm so encouraged by what they've shown so far to start the season. Let's go back to Friday Night Football. It was the Magpies with the help of the umps, according to many, that beat the Doggies by, 6-7 points in the end. Now, I'm not an ump basher. I know the umps are shit. I mean, they're poor most weekends. We accept that. As footy fans, we know they're no good. So let's not say they cost them the game. But in the last 5 minutes, there was the Ballydale deliberate out of bounds, which was wrong. There was Nick Dacos walking the ball over the boundary line like it was a little child in his hands, making sure it reached the comfort of the turf. That was wrong as well. There was plenty of incorrect decisions. But at the end of the day, Collingwood did enough to win the game. They were up 2 goals in the last quarter, and they are ultimately able to hold that lead. The Doggies, in their 100th anniversary game, put in a spirited effort, but the class of Collingwood, particularly Nicholas Dacos, our saviour, he was the one that decided this game back to his brilliant best with the high 30s disposals. Even Sidebottom having the mid-20s, 2 goals. Washed Pendlebury, as many are calling him, including Kane Corns. Not me. He had 26 disposals as well. and the forward half. It just clicked a little bit better than it did in opening round. We know they were brilliant last week against Port Adelaide, but I'm seeing signs that Collingwood are getting that corridor flow back. I know Geelong had the Geelong Highway in their glory days, which, are their glory days still going? We don't know. We'll talk about Geelong St Kilda in a second. But it's the Monash Freeway or the Monash Highway, I don't know, I'm a Northwester, that Collingwood use to get the ball through the corridor to the likes of Nick Dacos, to the like of Josh Dacos. It's their leg power and their speed. That's how they win games. They're one of the best teams from the back half. We know that. That's how they won the flag in 2023. It went against all that we thought was possible to win a flag. You got to win the contest. You got to have a strong marking forward. You got to have a brilliant defense, and you can't rely on uncontested handballs through the corridor to slingshot your attack. Well, the Pies are back. They're doing it once again, and it was fantastic to watch over the last 2 weeks. They can win the flag. I've said this before, they can win the flag, but my question marks are still in defence. Will that defence hold up in a finals series? I am yet to be convinced. On the Doggies side, great effort. Still missing so many top-end players. There's the likes of Ballydale, Tom Liberatore, and of course, Sam Darcy. This kid could be absolutely anything. He monstered Darcy Moore on Friday night, and it had me thinking, Nick Dacos or Sam Darcy? Who would you want for the next decade? Most people will say Sam Darcy, but it is very, very close. Nick has already proven he's a superstar in the league. Many people think he's the best player in the league. I'm not sure about that right now, but geez, they're both going to be brilliant players and a joy to watch for the next decade. I was making in my head the trade value rankings. Like, if you put up every single player in the league, who has the most trade value? Is it Darcy? Is it Dacos? Is it someone like a Ben King as a key forward? I don't know. Maybe later in the week I'll do a trade value special, and you can all come at me in the comments about how wrong I am. Great Friday night football game. The Pies get the chockies, as they so often do in the close ones. We'll fast forward to Saturday twilight, or as I like to call it, Labradoodle walking time. Port Adelaide smashed Richmond in this game. They put up, 140 points, one of their best wins in many, many years. The disposals discrepancy is what really killed me. We're looking at the stat sheet as I have in front of me. I mean, they had 180 more uncontested possessions. They had 181 more disposals and 130 more handballs. They simply just had the ball the whole time, and it was the class of Rosie, who is, by the way, our Slam Talk Sports Player of the Round. Play the graphic, Slam. There you go. There's the graphic. 39 disposals and 2 goals for Connor Rosie. He was one of the biggest differences in this contest, as well as former Brownlow medalist Ollie Wines, who helped himself to 30 and a goal as well. It was the class. I mean, Port Adelaide, we don't think they're premiership contenders, but we know they've got some bloody good players. Rosie, Wines, Kane Farrell, one of my personal favourites. Even Jason Horne-Francis had a quiet game in this one, but others stepped up. You're looking at Georgiades. You're looking at Pal Pepper. It was too much for the young and inexperienced Tigers to back up after their awe-inspiring victory last Thursday night. Not that much to write about. I mean, it was a blowout. Most people didn't watch the whole game. I was crying deeply after Essendon's loss, so I missed the first quarter. But really, not too much to say on this one. Richmond will pick themselves back up, tie the laces back up, put their school bags back over their shoulder and get ready for a big contest on Saturday against St Kilda. Speaking of the Saints, wowee, knock! The Saints win in a close one against the Geelong Football Club. I mean, they blitzed them in the first half, and Chris Scott, I mean, they look the same. Chris Scott had some interesting comments after the game about, I think he was talking about me personally, about people who don't watch the game and have opinions about it and just talk garbage. Let's play the clip.
Well, I just thought they were, so forget all the cliches that you hear from commentators that don't know what they're talking about around intensity. I just thought they were clean. I thought we couldn't get the ball forward enough, but when we did, they were able to bounce it out really quickly. And it's obvious to everyone that their kicking skills at this venue are at a really high level, so you need to have enough pressure on them to create a little bit of doubt. But it wasn't just their kicking skills early, and we knew that was the threat in the game. It was their ability to sort of work their way out of any sort of pressure and give themselves good looks. And I think everyone that actually spends some time on the game knows that virtually every team in the comp are going to have patches where they're really hot, and it was unfortunate for us that we just weren't able to slow that down for long enough, and early enough to get the game played a bit more our way.
Is there an intensity issue potentially in the first quarter? Is that something that stands out to you?
I mean, if you want to be one of those guys, I'd suggest you don't.
Now, Chris, I think you're talking about me. People who are clueless and just say big, grandiose, sweeping statements, that they must be talking about Slam Talk Sports, because I saw a lack of intent from your players, a lack of heart, a lack of desire to win the ball at the contest, and particularly going the other way. When the Cats did win it and get it inside 50, it was the brilliant, sublime skills of Nazire Wanganeen-Millera, Jack Sinclair, the dogged defensive acts of Cal Wilkie, and the 3-vote performance of Mr. Jackson McRae. Jack McRae had his best game in, 4-5 years, his best Supercoach game in a long, long time, was in the 170s for his ranking points. But realistically, the Saints were just better. They were better at this ground, which they so often are. It's their 4th straight win against Geelong at Marvel Stadium. And Geelong have these performances. Like early in the year, even back in 2022, before they won, 15, 16 in a row, they got rolled by the Saints at Marvel. They are a bit of a bogey team for this Cats side, but we're not getting too worried. I was just more encouraged by what the Saints showed after being smashed by Adelaide. It gives me encouragement as a Bombers fan that we could turn it around against Port Adelaide. But how unlikely that is, because Essendon are probably even worse than St Kilda, as has been shown over the last couple of seasons. Great win from the Saints. Hopefully they can go on and beat Richmond next week, give themselves a bit of momentum heading into the season. For the Cats, we're not too worried. I mean, Bailey Smith was a laid out in this contest. And as it's looking now, Bailey Smith might be their 2nd or 3rd best player. He was so instrumental in their victory against Fremantle, and particularly because they lost Tom Stewart early in this game. We haven't got a full confirmation of the extent of his injury, but it's rumoured that it could be a pretty serious PCL, which could be a couple of months on the sideline. For a player as important as him, it just messes everything up structurally. So they got smashed in the guts, so Sam de Koning went back. Mark Blitzarves went into the ruck, and Jeremy Cameron went onto a wing, and Brian Myers went higher up the ground, and Dangerfield was forward, then he went mid. Then, all the magnets are being thrown around. It's like he was in a $2 shop. Like he was at the reject shop in Geelong, because he was trying to find which magnets fit best for his fridge, which is the Marvel Oval. See my analogies? It's going downhill like Essendon season. But really, the Cats played very well in the second half. They'd have some encouragement from that. They're able to find some different avenues to goal. I mean, Stengel kicked 2. Cameron didn't really have much of an impact in this game. They'll be okay. Going forward, they'll be okay. Max Holmes got tagged heavily out of this contest in the first half. Then he got the pistons going. He got the engine roaring to recover somewhat. But Windhager was one of the best players on the ground. He kicked 2 goals directly opposed to Max Holmes and had 20 disposals himself. So many bright lights out of this St Kilda performance. There's a lot of green shoots, as Lee Montagna likes to say, that are coming forward for the Saints. This doesn't even include the likes of Mateus Philippou, who will be due to return in a couple of months. Everything's rosy at St Kilda at the moment. It's funny what a week in football can do to change your mindset. Move forward to Sunday, early game. Now, this might have been the best game of the round. West Coast narrowly go down to Brisbane, despite the fact they led at the first change, the second change, and the third change. End of the day, though, Brisbane's class, the big names, they always step up. Isn't it just frustrating when you go for a club that doesn't have 4 or 5 A graders that can just pull you out of the fire, pull you out of the funeral pyre? I mean, that is how you win a game when you're struggling. It's Neil. It's Zorko. It's Josh Dunkley. It's even Will Ashcroft and Hugh McCluggage getting busy in the second half. Lachie Neale had 35 disposals in this one, another 3-vote Brownlow game. Dane Zorko's just been brilliant off halfback since Kadeem Coleman went down with his ACL opening round last year. He's been All-Australian Zorko ever since that moment. They've got too much quality. But having said all that, it was concerning the fact they went 5 goals down to West Coast, which we predict will probably be the worst team this year. I mean, we'll see what Essendon does in the next couple of months, but we think West Coast are going to struggle. So the fact they went 5 goals down early is of slight concern. But Zorko really just started yelling at everyone and said, what the hell are we doing here, boys? We're lifting the flag up. Let's give the 30,000 strong crowd here at the Gabba something to celebrate. And they brought themselves all the way back. For the West Coast side of things, very encouraging to see some young players step up. Elijah Hewitt, Tyrell Dewar, Harley Reid. I mean, he gave some salutes to the crowd, but that's probably all he really did in this contest. But I was encouraged. I really was encouraged by West Coast, and particularly the bigger names, the older players finally stood up, which wasn't really the case last year. Tim Kelly had a fantastic game. What was it? 29, 30 touches and a goal. Liam Ryan kicked 3 goals as well. Good to see him return to form. I know footy fans have been waiting, thinking, where's the real Liam Ryan been for like the last 2-3 years? This guy was an All-Australian. He decided the premiership. Really, he did in 2018 with his brilliant play. Where's he been the last 2-3 years? A couple of off-field issues have curtailed his influence, but it was great to see him back to his best, kicking 3 in this one. And of course, the recruit of Liam Baker from Tigerland thrust more into the midfield in this one, with Jack Hutchinson and Jack Graham both being out with injury. It's fantastic to see his play, 24 disposals, so classy in the way he used it, and a bit of leadership for this team, which has been struggling for it on field for the last few seasons. Encouraging signs from the West Coast Eagles in that one. Move forward to Sunday, 3:20. It is Melbourne, and it was North Melbourne, and it was an utter shellacking at the hands of the Roo boys. Kanga. Roo. Yes, the Kangaroos are back fit and firing, and geez, it was the manner in which they did it. It was up around the contest. It was Cherry, it was LDU, it was Parker, it was the mids and the ruck which bashed a Melbourne side in the guts, which was their biggest strength over the last 5 seasons. It was a disaster in the middle for Melbourne. I mean, Gawn got smashed in every facet of the game. But the oddest thing, it wasn't the performance. It was the comments from Simon Goodwin after the game, where he alluded to Max Gawn having a personal issue that we're not aware about, but it's not something we can talk about or press him about or ask him about. He just wanted to mention it so we could all speculate about it. Very, very odd behaviour.
So on a personal note, it's not often you see the captain lose a ruck duel. How was he post-match? I imagine, did that dent his pride a little bit, the skipper? He's not, like, they're a little club within the comp.
Yeah, they are.
They're competitive.
Yeah, and, you know, our people are really important to us, and Max is one of those guys. And today, you know, I think he'll acknowledge that he got beaten by a really good opponent today. But you also got to realise that, you know, in life, there are other things that are going on. So, you know, we'll support Max. He's a great person. He's a great leader. And, you know, there's a backstory to everyone's performance. And Max is someone that we take enormous pride in, and he's going to continue to be a great leader for this footy club, and he'll be a big part of our response.
There's an obvious follow-up question there. Can you go?
Yeah, look, I'm not going to go into the details, but, you know, he's someone that, you know, there's footy and there's some stuff in life, and we just got to understand that people have backstories, and he's someone that we love dearly, and he'll certainly be a big part of our response.
Nearly as odd as Tiger Woods hard launching his relationship with Don Jr.'s ex-wife, but then asking for privacy. But he posted it on every sort of social media platform. Attention-seeking boys. I'm not one of them, of course. I've just got a YouTube show. Back to the Demons. They were deplorable in this one. And it makes you question where they're heading for the rest of the season. They get Cozzy Pickett back in a couple of weeks. They get Melksham potentially back from a hamstring injury. But will these players save Melbourne? I don't know. It's an old list. I mean, May is out. Lever got injured in this one. Gawn's in the twilight years. He's still a great player, but he's in the twilight years. Petrarca wanted to be traded. Oliver wanted to be traded. I'm not here to be a Melbourne alarmist, but they don't have a first-round pick this year either. Things aren't looking very good for Melbourne going forward. On the North Melbourne side of things, I said on this show, you can't tip them and you can't trust them. I was wrong. You could have tipped them, but can you trust them? We'll find out a bit more this weekend. They head to Adelaide to take on the Crows. We all expect the Crows to win by, 40, 50 points. If North crack in, if they have a good red-hot crack and go close in this one, and what will be a very tough game in Adelaide, then I'll have my trust again. I want to tip North. I want to be Team North. Kanga. North ball might be here to stay. So many brilliant top 10 picks. LDU finally coming into his own. The thing about LDU I love most, it's not the kicking, it's not the ball winning, it's not the handballing, it's broken tackles. Broken tackles are so crucial in football. You wouldn't notice that from someone like me with linguini arms. I wouldn't know break a tackle in my life. But I saw it round 1 from the likes of Ned Long against Port Adelaide. I saw it round 2 from Luke Davies-Uniacke against Melbourne. If you can break tackles and evade them with nimble, fast feet, then you can go so far up the ground. I mean, teams cannot stop you if they can't lay a stupid tackle. Essendon couldn't lay a damn tackle, and neither could Melbourne. It is a critical skill in this sport, which is often underrated. And of course, it was the smalls from North. It was Paul Curtis. I love this guy. Paul Curtis can turn it on and kick the most sublime goals any given week. And it appears that Melbourne's biggest weakness in their back half is defending smalls. Smalls just get a hold of them, and they have over the last year or two. They like to roll everyone back to help out with the talls. I mean, Larky kicked a couple of goals. Jack Darling in his 300th kicked a couple of goals as well. But I thought the connection from the midfield to North Melbourne's forward half, particularly with their small forwards, is so telling in this contest. Do we trust North? I don't know. Do I want to tip them? I don't think so. Would I love to see them pick up some form now, string together some wins, not just say, okay, that was enough for us for the first month. Now we're going to lose by 10 goals. Let's see another one on the board. Let's see North finally put together a season. It'd be great for football and it'd be great to watch because they have so many young, talented players which can absolutely turn it on. We'll move to the last game of the round, and it was an absolute stinker in my opinion. Sydney narrowly took down Fremantle over in Perth, and now the alarm bells are ringing. The alarm bells have to be ringing for the Fremantle Football Club. This team has so many stars, so many A-graders. Brayshaw, Sarong, Jackson, Ryan, Clark, Tracy. There's A-graders everywhere, but they couldn't kick 75 points against Sydney, a team that's been struggling so hard in the first 2 weeks to eke out results. They were the ones that eked out the result. They were the ones that wrestled it back in their favour, despite the errors they'd made in the third and fourth quarters. The game really boiled down to the last 5 minutes. I mean, these close contests, it's all about moments. Who can capture them? Who can seize them? And it was none other than Riley Bice from Sydney, who was the biggest deciding factor in this game. A brilliant goal in the last 5 minutes. Not an easy goal at all from about 45 metres out on the run. And then it was a great mark and that little two-step. I mean, that Luke Davies-Uniacke's two-step, put the foot in the ground like Saquon Barkley and ruin your opponent. I think it was Frederick who got turned around like he was at a roundabout. What does Bice do? Delivers a perfect kick, middle of the ground, breaks the whole play apart. Sydney go on and kick the goal through Joel Amati to win the game. In the big moments, Freo didn't stand up. Patrick Voss missed an easy shot from about 30 metres out that would have potentially killed the contest. What happens? Sydney go down, kick the next 2 goals, game over. Sydney are back on track. I said Dean Cox was in trouble last week. Well, he played James Jordan again in the guts, and he had the most touches on the ground at about half-time, so I was wrong with that one. James Jordan is a good player, a premiership player, and he deserves some midfield time. Just, I don't know with Freo. I don't know what to do. They've played finals once in 10 years. It's just not good enough. I know they won a final that year. They came back from, 5 goals down against the Doggies in Perth. A brilliant victory, but that's it. There's not much to write home about as a Dockers fan. There's so much heartache and so little triumph. I just don't know if he's the man for the job. But fortunately, someone at Essendon, they've signed him up for another year, so more pain is on the way. Dockers fans, fear not. Well, that's it for another episode of Slam Talk Sports, your round 2 rapid review, all done and dusted. You know where to find me. It is Slam Talk Sports on YouTube. It is Darcy_Duncan21 on Twitter. Interesting one. It is Darcy Duncan21 on TikTok as well. I'll be launching the socials on TikTok and Instagram for Slam Talk Sports later in the week. Until then, you know where to find me. You know how truly depressed I am watching Essendon, and you know how much you all enjoy it. I'll see you all later in the week. Talk a little bit of Supercoach and to preview the round ahead. See you then.